Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. I expect, our viewers would have expected we'll be going there this morning. I'm talking about the central bank governor, shall we say, designate. He's been sent, his name has been sent in. And my guest this morning is Mukhtar Mohammed, stockbroker, CEO, finance with Mukhtar. As always, it's always a delight to have you, Mukhtar.
Thank you, Uncle Yori, for having me.
Thank you very much. You're a chartered stockbroker yourself. Chartered Diam, I be stockbroker.
All join, like they would say.
All join, as they would say. I brought that up because Mr. Yemi Cardoso, who has been nominated, isn't he also something like that, a chartered stockbroker? He's a man of vast experience.
Yep.
And so a lot of people have been speaking about, any way you look at it, suitably qualified for the role that President Tinubu has nominated him, alongside for other deputy governors. Now, I wanted to go back to the basics, the functions, the core functions of the central bank, and if you want, the central bank governor who is heading up that. So maybe we'll take them, one by one. What would you, because it would seem to me that even Nigerians that don't know very much about high finance know that something was very badly wrong when the last, governor was in charge. We hear, by the way, that he has resigned, which paves the way for this appointment, because some people were going to make something out of the fact that can you have two central bank governors at the same time? But that, I think, has been settled because the report is that he has resigned. Exactly. So there's that to it. Now, he has his work cut out for him. As I was saying, the other central bank governor was very political, and I have nothing more to say apart from the fact that he sought to be a candidate of the APC for the presidential election. There were vehicles that were seen bearing his, insignia, and to a lot of us that weren't exactly, as if you want, finance literate, that was very surprising because we thought these people around the world were supposed to stay out of the fray and be able to talk and be the advisor of government. So what are the roles that you would expect Mr. Yemi Cardoso, as a matter of fact, I've heard some refer to him as Dr. Yemi Cardoso. What are the roles that you feel this man is very well placed to be able to execute?
I think for me, number one, like you said, he's a chartered accountant, also a chartered stockbroker, also an economist, a developmental economist. He's a man that has been in India, even when he was out of government. He runs a company that normally gives economic view, quarterlies, economic view of the nation, and also expectation for the new. And also I've been somebody that had been advising the government on a lot of policies since he left current president when he was a governor. So you could say he has been active.
Well, he's been active, but he hasn't been in politics.
He hasn't been in politics.
Not overtly, not openly.
No, not openly. You see, when you talk about differentiating politics from the economy, definitely it's always very difficult.
Okay.
Because no matter how you see the CBN governor is a political appointee from the president, but the act makes it that he should be independent of the president. Now, in all of the CBN governors we have seen, they have had one political appointment news or the other. So let's start from Chukwuma Soludo. He was formerly national planning head of, I think it was the head of the national planning of President Tinubu, President Obasanjo, the special advisor on national planning before they brought him. And he is the only CBN governor that wasn't was an economist, was a planner. After that, we had Lamido Sanusi. I think we had Lamido Sanusi.
Again,
yeah,
that one was also very closely interweaved with the banks, commercial banks.
Commercial bank. Then he also had his political side of him. He wanted to become the emir. At the end of the day,
but the emir bit we didn't know about for a long time, unless people.
People that really
knew
inside knowledge knew, and he became political. Don't forget the 20 million missing.
So that is political.
That's political because it was a.
If a central bank governor blows
it was
the whistle.
20 million missing at that time. It was playing to the hand of the opposition because at the end of the day, it was that same opposition that made him the emir after he was suspended, even when he was suspended.
Okay.
So then you got, I think for me, one of the CBN governors that became openly political, made the CBN so non-independent. I can't forget the Naira issue. I think I had it here on your program. Mr. President said, I went to meet Mr. President. I seek advice from Mr. President.
Talking about Emefiele.
So he was open. Then you said it. He went into
openly into politics. You know.
And even if he had to go to court to challenge why they are. So there were a lot of things that he did that at that time I was saying it that if you really want to take him on, the legislature at that time, they became rubber stamp. They were not able to take him on. Now, for Yemi Cardoso, when you look at him, he's a political appointment. How? Now, I have my fears. Now, these are my fears. We've seen that the president has a vision. And his vision is to make sure we have a good economy. And this is the first president that has a special advisor on monetary policy. Now, what it means is that the special advisor on monetary policy will continue to liaise with the CBN. Because what we don't know about the CBN, that the CBN is strictly supposed to make monetary policy decision, not economy decision. The economy decision has to come from the government. The CBN will not look at that economic decision from the government and base its monetary policy on how to help the government move forward with those decisions or how to complement the government on those decisions.
Okay.
So it mustn't be seen like the president is appointing his own man so that his own man would drive his economy agenda through the monetary policy that will be suitable. Because every developed world, what we see in monetary policy and economics is that they seem to go into let me give you an example. When rate is hike by the monetary policy, the economy policy come to look, okay, how can we help our people not suffer this rate hike? By coming up with a little bit palliative, so okay, they have high rate, so does it mean that we need to pump in more money because we are a consumer-driven economy? So they are always different, but they need to complement each other. Now, what we saw in the Emefiele time, we saw a CBN that became both physical, involving the physical policies and economic policy, direct intervention. It's not the place of CBN to be doing direct intervention in rice production, direct intervention in milk production, direct intervention in...
we saw that a lot.
A lot.
Mukhtar, sorry for interrupting you. Let me look at that aspect of the central bank governor's function, or the central bank's function, control of credit, and then maintaining a stable exchange rate.
You know, when it comes to control of credit, that's where they come to the hiking rate, high interest rate, low interest rate. And Mr. President said, I want to make sure that we have credit.
Yes.
I want to make sure that we have a low interest rate. And I think he's beginning to assemble his team. And I think that's why he brought him. Now,
but even in doing that, you've got to be looking at what you people refer to as market fundamentals.
Market fundamentals are driven by the economic policies.
Okay. And those policies come from the executive.
From the executive. So the CBN, like you rightly said, will look at the economic policy and begin to create the monetary policy to synergize with the economic policy so that we can see the results. Now, what we saw in the outgoing administration was that we saw a CBN that was doing some policy because there was no economic common vision. Let me use that word. We didn't see the results. You hear RX 200, we are having 200 companies that we are putting in money to develop them so that we can earn FX. We never saw anything there. Oh, we saw the rice pyramid in Abuja now. After that, the rice disappeared. We did not see any rice production in large scale. We have not been exporting rice like they told us. So we'll become #1 in Africa in exportation or in exporting rice. We didn't see that. So now, he's coming in there. For me, if you ask me what are my agenda for him, I would say the first thing is that he has a very Herculean task, which is to bring stability in the exchange rate, which is the work of the CBN.
Okay. That's stability in the exchange
rate.
And he's been credited with being a man of a detail. I think even the president joked about it at one time. One of the reasons they say he has the moniker, he had the monitor of a headmaster that the president joked about was that you couldn't bring anything past him without him asking, under what head does this come? That seems to suggest that this is a person who is going to keep an eye on the details, because it's in the details that a lot of mischief happens.
I think for me it's an exciting appointment because it's very exciting appointment. Like you said about details, like I said, he normally come up with those economic policy news, talked about it. He's one man that is with, I think thus far, he's been a man that has integrity. He's been a man that has said what he has to say and how he has to go about it.
So that independence, it's desirous for a central bank governor to have true independence.
Yeah, we must see.
Even though you've explained how there
must be. We won't talk about the independence. Independence is not completely independent, but it's almost 90% independent in area of monetary policies.
Okay.
Now, it's different from currency. Like if you want to change the Naira denomination, you want to temper with the currency, you want to say, okay, one Naira to exchange. Remember when Soludo came, he wanted to say, okay, let's re-denominize the Naira.
Yes, let's knock a few zeros off.
And President Yaradua said, look, yes, you are independent, but when it comes to the area of currency, you still need to seek approval from me. You still need to let me know what you want to do. Then I have to sit with my team and agree with you. Remember, that was the problem with the Emefiele. When the representative of the government in the Monetary Policy Committee, which is the Minister of Finance, who also have somebody that he will nominate to be in that, said, I'm not aware of this policy.
So that was a mess.
That was a mess. So, so we need to see those synergies.
Well,
then again, we need to see one thing that have brought the CBN to the rot that it is, and that is why once your CBN is rotting, there's no how your economy can move.
No way to say.
So we have not seen why our economy has been in the rot it will be. Now, we need to see corporate governance.
Okay, now when you go there, the president also appointed 4 deputy governors alongside Mr. Yemi Cardoso. The other thing is that it's been observed that just about everybody at the top in CBN has been invited by the financial authorities for some sort of interrogation, thereby suggesting to a lot of people that the entirety of, I don't know how fair this is to say, but people began to get the impression that there was rot at the top.
Well, you see, I have my own, what I think about that, because it's only in Nigeria you appoint a special investigator and you tend to hear in the news what the special investigator is doing. I don't think we should be knowing what this, because when you are putting it in the news, you are giving them room to defend themselves, either through the legal means or the other. So special investigator is supposed to go about his duty. We've seen it in developed nations, and when he just come up with his report, and when you read in the news that the special investigator that is supposed to have direct access to the president some of the presidencies are denying him access to the presidency, then you begin to wonder. So for me, I think they were rot in the CBN. We talked about the direct intervention. I think you will need to tell us again that the 4 deputy governors of the CBN also had to resign because they also have a tenure.
Yes.
They also have a tenure. So we are silent about whether they were resigned or they were suspended.
But I don't, this is just me guessing now. Because of what we know, you can't have 2 central bank governors at the same time. And now that the statement has been made that actually Emefiele resigned, and you also said you heard about that, I imagine ditto for the deputy governor.
Maybe the same thing for the
could not have.
So maybe the same thing for the deputy governor. And like you said, when you have your hand in the cocoa jar, when they tell
because
you soft landing.
Nobody can say, well, I didn't know what was going on.
Because you seem to hear a lot of things about the CBN, and that was why the independence of the CBN came. That's why people like us are upset, because you need to ask, where did the independence of the CBN come from? It was President Obasanjo then that said, look, we don't want political interference in our monetary policy like it's done in developed world. I like remembering Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was saying interest rate will have to go down, and yet the central bank governor of America was hiking rate.
Yeah.
And he was
that
like,
was because of his read
yeah,
of the economy.
See, look, I am the one, I'm independent of you. You make your own decision, but this is what I think is good based on the data I have. So those were what prompted us to say, look, Nigeria, we want to have the independence of the CBN. But unfortunately, it has not really been independence, but it has been worse under the previous administration. It became a rubber stamp.
Okay, but now that we have the Minister of Finance also being the coordinating Minister of the Economy, and there's no how you look at it, Central Bank is going to be part of that.
Yes, yes. When you are a coordinating minister, they call you a coordinating minister. The CBN is not under the coordinating minister of economy. Okay. We need to get that clear. The CBN is independent of the coordinating minister of economy. But what we have the minister that have his economic team, and we have CBN in that economic team because they need to be sent. Now, what's the difference between every other president and President Tinubu is President Tinubu have decided to have a special advisor on monetary policy, which is different from what we normally have. What we normally have before is the special advisor on economy affairs. Now, Tinubu still has a special advisor on economy, and then now have a special advisor on monetary policy. Before now, the current Minister of Finance, who is the coordinating minister of the economy now, was appointed a special advisor on monetary policy. So immediately it was made the Minister of Finance. That post, I can't remember who that post has been given to now, but I think they made an appointment on that. So what we are saying there is, we are seeing a president that will say, look, my advisor on monetary policy, this decision that the CBN has taken, how will it impact on the economy? Okay. So you and my special advisor on economy, come together and let's see how we can solve these issues. Or do you need to liaise with the CBN based on your own data? Because sometimes it's okay. That's why I said Donald Trump sometimes, because of the data, I will question what their own CBN is doing. But if you don't have data, you cannot question that. So that is my own challenge about them. So let's see those data. Let's see those synergy. It's just like when you are building your house, you have an architect who designs the building. And then you have a structural engineer who comes in there. And you remember the architect and the structural engineer are not always at the same wavelength. Of course. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they have to come together so that you can have a good house. So
you can get the best out of it between the design and the actual execution to be sure that that whole edifice is standing the way it should be.
So that is what I expect the monetary policy. That's the CBN governor. And the Minister of Economy is the coordinating Minister of Economy, the special advisor for the President of the Economy, and also the special advisor of the President on monetary policy. Monetary policy. To begin to look at a common goal on moving our economy. This Minister of Finance has talked about creating the stability in the exchange rate. He has not been able to achieve that. Now he has a governor. I mean, he has a CBN governor whom he has worked with before. And you know the beauty about what is happening now is that the current CBN governor also worked with Mr. President when he was governor of Lagos State. Same apply to the current Minister for Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy. So there is a relationship already.
So there is a sense in which there's a team.
There's a team already.
Tinubu has, as it seems, reassembled, so to speak, a team that he's been used to.
And you must give it to Mr. President, even if everybody wants to say, in the economy, he seems to be hitting the right button. It seems to, what I'd like saying, it seems to be making the right pronouncement. Now that he has the ministerial team, we need to see them work on those foundations of his pronouncements.
Another aspect that is very important, now that the central bank governor has come, I imagine that he will be approved. I don't know, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but 5 years in the first instance, all other things being equal, maybe he gets another term. So I'm just looking at why I even brought that up is that usually people who come in and are going to do a good thing, they need the time. Some of the things they start off with might not immediately show.
Yeah.
And so they need the time for them to, as it were, nurse these policies. Now, one of the problems we've always had from the business sector and all sorts of sectors is interest highs are impossible for business people to deal with. So that, again, meanwhile, President Tinubu is saying that he doesn't want to borrow. You know, he doesn't want to borrow. He wants, you know, he wants us to generate the money to do that which we need to do. So there's a sense in which the central bank governor surely has a role in all of this, independent as he is, because you've pointed out he's going to have to keep his eyes on the specifics and the fundamentals
of the economy.
Yeah,
he has to keep his eye on the fundamentals.
So of the interest rate. The fact that we have a new governor of central bank coming in, is there any reason for the business community to be smiling? Because they've been lavish with their praise. The business community has been lavish with its praise.
The beauty about it is that why they are lavish with his praise is because of the kind of appointment he has made. And like you are talking about Yemi Cardoso, like I said, he has been somebody that has been in the in those economical space together with most of this business community, and he knows what they are. He knows the challenges that they have been going through. Now, let's look at what we expect him to do, like in what you are saying. I like using this analogy. Where we are today, we're not there in 1 month. Exactly. So it took us 8 years of poor decisions to get to where we are today. So we won't get through it overnight. And like my very good friend, Paul Alagbe, will say, he says, when you commit spiritual sin, say you can go to the Father God and say, Father, forgive me. And the Father will say, your sins are forgiven. And you go out excited. He said, but when you commit economic sins, you must pay the price for your sin. Economic sin, there's no repentance. You must pay the price. If you refuse to do what you ought to do at the time you have to do it, you've got to pay the price for it. So whatever we are going through now, we have to pay the price. That's why the hardship is hard. And as a CBN governor, you don't expect him to come because he's a CBN governor. But remember that he's going to work with the entirety of the CBN. It's only the deputy governors.
And with the economy.
Yeah, it's only the deputy governors of CBN that are being removed. You still have directors that are still there. So he still needs to work with them. You still need to look at. You see, you need to know that it's not all the policy of the CBN that were wrong. When you look at the economy as itself, where you have to high grade. My only challenge with our own ache is that I said, we do copy and paste.